There's one love that applies to great tzaddikim, love of Hashem. This is a fantastic advanced love where nothing else has a matter. We gave a metaphor of a guy night of his wedding or night of her wedding, and someone says, "Hey, you want to go to a Packer game? You want to go out for French fries, your favorite treat?" I have no interest in it. What do you mean? It's your favorite thing. Not today. Today I have no interest besides my wedding. That's the love that a tzaddik has for God. Nothing interests me. I have to eat. It's like when you fill your car with gas. You say, "Wow, I'm so excited I get to put gas in the car." I don't even want to put gas in the car. I have no choice. I have to do it. So the tzaddik says, I take care of my body. I eat, I sleep, I dream, not because I want to. That's not my interest. My interest is the car should take me to Chicago. The car should take me how to drive. In other words, the body needs are no longer a means for their end to themselves, only a means, something bigger, you love to Hashem. That's a tzaddik, which is a very advanced level. And today we're going to start, what's the other level? And on this level, it requires effort. This level of love does require, via sisa, require work, as we'll see. So those who are following inside, we are on page 150, the second column, about, I would say, just past the third down. First word on the line, it's between a third and halfway. It's the word is v'hashenis. And the second, we're talking now about the second love. And by the way, for those of us who remember, going back about 10 chapters ago, we discussed these loves in 41, 42, 43. We discussed these these loves. The second love we're talking about is a love that every person can get to. You see, the first level of a tzaddik, as we know, we spoke about, one of the famous questions we asked in the beginning of Tanya was, why do we have a double expression? Be a tzaddik and don't be a rasha. Come on time and don't come late. You know, these are things that humans say, not tzaddikim or great Torah. What does it mean to eat tzaddik v'al tihei rasha? Be a tzaddik and don't be a rasha. We explained in chapter 12, we got to the point we said, or maybe it was a little earlier in chapter 10, we said not every person can be a tzaddik. We want you to be a tzaddik, but not every person has that neshama. To be a tzaddik means I have zero attraction to material pursuits. My body doesn't have any interest in my function. If that's the case, not everyone can be a tzaddik. What's your next choice? At least don't be a rasha. That's what we say. Not every person can be a tzaddik. You can't. The level of a tzaddik of a Tanya we're talking about. Obviously, a tzaddik in the general terms, yes, you can be you're such a tzaddik. You gave me a ride to the airport today. You picked me up in the rain. You're such a tzaddik. There's different types of tzaddik, but tzaddik for the Alter Rebbe, which means I have no physical attraction to anything material. I have no excitement or interest in a Danish or a donut or a comfortable pair of shoes. It doesn't interest me. That is something that, and the higher level of tzaddik, that one doesn't interest me. I'm repulsed by it. It's like someone invited me, I would like a nice bowl of broken glass. We took a bunch of light bulbs and crushed them. I am disgusted by that, meaning anything which is material, that's a level of a tzaddik that the average human being can't reach. It applies to 1 or 2 or 3 in every generation, if that many. So what is a tzaddik? What is your option? To be a beinoni. So this first level of love really only applies to the super tzaddik, incredible tzaddik. So not everyone can do it. He's going to say now, but there is a love that every single person can reach. And he's not saying it's easy. We spoke about it a while ago. Attainable is not the same as easy. Possible, oftentimes, is extremely difficult. If you want a Tanya, we're on page 150. This is a love that every single person could reach. If a person thinks deeply, and we are going to explain here these 2 words, hativ, good, umka, deeply. What does hativ mean? There are certain things that we know enough. Someone says, "You understand what I said?" Yeah, I could take a test and get 100. I could tell you over exactly what I just learned. That means I understood it enough to repeat it, but not hativ. Hativ means that I thought about it and I understand it. And now if you ask me a question from all different perspectives, I get it. I got this thing very, very clear. Hativ means I understand it to the point that no matter how you approach a subject, I understand it. I got it clear. I can picture it. I can explain it. Change a few details. I still can understand it. Umka, deep, means that it touches me. A lot of times a person can have information. One of the famous examples are matters of health. There are many doctors who always tell you shouldn't smoke. They themselves smoke. Today, not so much. But probably when I was a kid growing up, it was very popular to see outside of a hospital that was, people smoking, or to, in general, the idea of not keeping what you say. People who know, for an example, that drinking too much l'chaim is not good for you. They know it very well, but they do it. Why? Ask them. Or the same thing, why there are things that you know, Or for example, you could know very well something going on in the media, a court case, and you're very well involved with it, but it doesn't affect you. Umka means not only it's something which you understand, but it's deep, it touches you. And that's the next thing. Your sabbatinus, and this, by the way, take a step back for a second, is really what the whole Chassidus is about. What does Chassidus Chabad come to do? What's the Alter Rebbe doing here? Chassidus Chabad is based on the idea that we're Chabad. We understand things that are very, very advanced, and things sometimes, as we'll see in a minute, even what we can't understand, we try to grasp an appreciation of it. The whole idea of Chassidus Chabad is to internalize intellectually Torah, and then do it because Hashem said, meaning understand it, come to a profound understanding of what Hashem is, how important this is, what the value is, and nevertheless, that is not the motivation. Motivation is that Hashem said. That's like the ultimate, because you could have two people that follow orders without asking questions. One who has no idea what's flying. I have no idea what to do. I don't know directions, where I'm going. I usually drive this way, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to go. And the guy says, make a left, make a right, go straight, go straight. That's one way of following directions, which is nice and good. Another way is I know how to go. I learned this, I've done this drive 20 times, and someone tells me make a left here. And I don't ask why, I just make a left, make a right, because he understands it's traffic, he heard somebody else, he knows the bridge is out. But I don't ask questions. That's a much higher level of bittul. You see, when you understand and you still listen to things you don't necessarily agree with, that's a much greater thing. So Hashem wants us to understand, but that shouldn't be our motivation for Torah mitzvahs. But here we're going into the understanding part. We should understand. His bonus, think deeply, appreciate, understand. And he said like this: the understanding and the meditation should be in things that evoke a love to Hashem amongst all Jewish people. And really what we're going to say first doesn't apply just to Jews, it applies to every creation, but we're talking here to the Jewish people. We're going to talk about why should a person love Hashem? What's the motivators? That if you think about this, you will come to appreciate. You find out, for an example, that somebody saved your family in the Holocaust. You go, wow, this person, I want to invite them. I want to take care of them. This guy, you don't have to say now, should I be nice to them? Automatically, if you realize someone saved your family, when you see them, you go, you see by the Rebbe, by the way, the people who took care of the Rebbe's, the Mequon family, who took care of the Rebbe's father's grave. Every time he came, such appreciation because it means so much. When someone does something that means a lot to you, you don't have to say, okay, it means a lot to me. The person was kind to me. Now, what's my response to be? I'll be nice. It's automatic. All you got to do is develop and meditate, which is different than the first stage. See, the first stage of love, there was nothing to create. It was just one thing: remove things that get in the way. The body shouldn't be a factor. Other distractions shouldn't be a factor, because you were dealing on a very profound love that you were gifted with. Here, it's a love that you have to create. And your job is not to uncover a love, which is a whole different type of love called Ava Meseteris. That's a different discussion. Here we're talking about a love that you can create by thinking about something. We could do a much easier job, the opposite end, fear and hatred or anger. We could, let's use those two words, fear and anger. We know how to develop those. Take 5 minutes, think about somebody last year embarrassed you in front of the whole show, or someone didn't invite you and everyone else in the show was invited to something and not you. Now think about that. Think if you're probably getting some feelings in your heart of, I'm never inviting that person. Meaning, we know how thinking about stuff could generate feelings, but usually it's the impulsive thinking about it rather than intentional thinking about it. You see, impulsive means the person hurt my feelings, I'm thinking about it, and I'm getting angry. Or there's something that scares me, a very scary thing, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm getting scared. I'm about to do something I never did before. But that's the impulsive where I'm thinking about something and it's causing me to have emotions. There's an intentional one where I think about how important is this person in my life? What did this person do for me? And the more you think about it, the more you generate a love. And that's what we're talking about here. Generating a love. And the first one is a general love that applies to everybody. What is that? Think about that Hashem is your source of life. If you find out how important the battery on your cell phone is to your cell phone, you want that battery. And someone tells you it's a better battery, it lasts longer, because this battery will keep my cell phone going longer. So I want that battery. What do you mean why you want it? So it goes longer. That's what I want. Imagine your life, your battery, your inner self, your soul, your neshama, your life, your creation comes from Hashem. The more you think about it, you think, what's in you? What's my life? What keeps me alive? Is Hashem. Automatically, just like a person loves their mother, besides from all the other reasons. She gave birth to me. She brought me into this world and she took care of me. And that would apply to anybody who took care of you, whether your natural mother or someone that you took care of you. That's natural. Imagine if you find out Hashem is your source of everything, and everything you eat, everything you do, and everything you have comes from Hashem. I guess it's easy to love him. Meaning it's a basic What's required for that is just take the time and think that who am I? In my deepest core, my deepest self, the ani, myself, my I is an neshama, it's a soul, it's a life force, it's a spirit that keeps me alive. This is Hashem. I love that. And it's a love of your natural, meaning it's a natural love of self that brings out a love of Hashem. I care about me, and I care about those who keep me alive. And this is very important to me. You jump off an airplane as one parachute. You want that parachute. Why let someone else have you go without it? I can't. Without that parachute, I'm nothing. I'm toast. Or the opposite. So the bottom line is, without Hashem, you're nothing. So your love for Hashem is generated by the awareness and the sabbatinus and the deep, not just a random thought thinking for 5 minutes. Sit down with a cup of tea and spend 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes thinking about this point. It will generate naturally a love. No efforts required to start loving. The asisa means you do the hisbaitinus and the love will come naturally. All you have to do is think about, like I said, in the converse, it's much easier to see it. Think about how much someone hurt you or hurt your kids or hurt your parents. You will have no problem. It will take effort not to be angry at them. It will take effort not to resent them. The same thing here. If you think properly, hisbaitinus about Hashem, its natural result is that you love Hashem. And this is called Derakal. Kain Yavis Hashem, a person will love Hashem. Ka'asher yisbainin, when you think deeply. V'yasim el liboy, and you'll put in your heart, meaning you'll take it not just as a lot of times we can think intellectually, but not emotionally. Think not just intellectually, but let it touch your emotions. Let yourself get inspired. Sometimes we hold ourselves back from getting emotional about something because I don't want to get stuck with that case. A person comes to you and starts telling you about this charity case that goes on. Unfortunately, there are many needs. And if someone tells you for 5, 10 minutes about this family living in New Jersey, that they lost their wife, God forbid, and the children aren't feeling well, and you listen for 5, 10 minutes, you have to be a person of a cold stone not to give something. Why? Because naturally, by listening and understanding, your heart is connected. What do some people do? I am not allowing myself to be affected by this, but that takes effort. Naturally, when you think about something, information causes, that's why seichel is called parents, avos, avaim, and middays are called children, because the nature is that the seichel leads to middays. If you're thinking about good things, you'll be attracted to good things. You think about things, you'll be attracted to bad things, and so on and so forth. So the same you will come to love in your heart as Hashem, ki Hashem hu nafshei ha'amitis. Who is the real me? Who's that thing inside? What's my soul? My soul is Hashem. I start loving it. The chayav mamish, it's really yourself. Like we spoke about this earlier, I think in chapter 46, what chapter was? Al pasuk nafshi v'sicha v'gemer. My soul yearns for you. And the Zohar explains this wording, not that my soul yearns for you, much more geschmack. Nafshi, because you are my soul, ivisicha, I love you. The Zohar takes this word, usually the pasuk we said, nafshi, my soul, ivisicha loves you. The Zohar says the grammar is not correct. It wouldn't be ivisicha, not particular, not aware what the particular problem with the grammar is, but the grammar would be something like ivsicha or ivis. The idea of that my soul yearns for you is not the right grammar for ivisicha. So the Zohar said, what does it mean? Nafshi, because you are my soul, ivisicha, that's why I love you. I recognize that Hashem is my life. That's the first way, a general thing. Really, this could apply to anybody to think this. Now we're going to go into what a yid could think about much deeper. The hein derech prat, same thing and much deeper. Kishayav and v'yaskil, and much more personal. A person will understand and will think. The good law, say shall melech malchi amlach magash baruch hu derech pratis. The person starts thinking about Hashem now. Again, we went through this meditation much earlier in Tanya. You start thinking about how great Hashem is, how grand, how vast. He's not just the king. He's not just the king of kings. He's melech malchi amlachim. That's an expression that means he's the king of kings. He is the top of everything. Derech pratis, and he says a very interesting expression here. Kasher yuchol seis b'sichlei u'mashal ma'il b'sichlei. Think about in the way that your mind could grasp, even what your mind can't grasp. And the question is, how could I think about things my mind can't grasp? And the answer is, think about how far you can go, and then realize, and that is only where you can go, but much more than that is true. Which means, if a kid listens to Einstein speak, and in the first few minutes he starts off, he goes, I understand that, wow, he's really smart. This is my brain understanding him, tells you how smart he is. And then he starts speaking, I have no idea what he's talking about. Wow, he's really smart. You don't understand, I know. But from the fact that I don't understand tells me that this is way out of my thing. When you start thinking about how Hashem's level, everything we know, if you think about, a person wants to think about how far the galaxies are. I don't know where it ends, but I know I don't have a number for it. After you go through, our solar system, and it goes so far. I don't have a number even. I can't even describe it. It's beyond my seichel. It's called there's knowing directly and knowing by process of elimination. I realize this is something I don't even know about. So that is a level of knowing and impressed by or moved by what I don't know. That's what he says here. As much as your mind could, and even that which is above you, you're moved by it because you realize it's way out of your ability to understand. There's a part of Hashem, not part. There's all of Hashem that we can't understand, and that not understanding it is something which boggles our ability to comprehend, and therefore we're moved by it. And then continue. Now, the first stage is to know how great Hashem is. We're going through this in short, but in length, we did it earlier. How great Hashem is. Now, consider how great He is. Now think about what Hashem did. This great God, that's unimaginably great and out of our ability to comprehend. He went late at Mitzrayim. He came down to Egypt, the disgusting part of the world. To take us out of the Kor HaBarzel. What's Kor HaBarzel? Kor HaBarzel means when you melt and you form and you want to take metal and form it. That place is called the there's a word for it. The refinery.
It's iron, no?
Well, yeah, iron or
Like
metals.
Kipat Barzel.
Yeah, but this is where you refine it when you make it. It's Kor. It's a place where they melt. There's a word for it. Where they melt and make and manufacture shapes and things out of steel. Either change the thickness of the steel, the density, or the form. It's Kor HaBarzel, where this is where the Jews were originally formed in Egypt. This is where we started off our original formation. Foundry. That's the word I'm looking for. Foundry. So Hashem took us out of the foundry of Egypt. In other words, if you would just think, if a person is stuck in his car, and a person comes by and helps you, you go, "Wow, that's so amazing." Then you find out it was the governor of the state, or it was the greatest person you can imagine, the head of the university. I don't want to say the president because I don't want to start politics. But let's say it was the most incredible person you could think of. Suddenly your appreciation changes. Until now, I was appreciative because this guy, Pashut, he stopped and helped me. He's on the way to work. He's the governor. Wow. When you find out that it's not just that someone took us out of Mitzrayim, but Hashem, who was so far above us, and He said, "You know what? For you, I'll do it." He comes down and He changes your dirty clothes, your soiled garments, and He cleans you and He washes you off. This is the incredible love that's generated within us when we recognize that Hashem is not just so great, but this so great person takes a personal interest in us, like we said in chapter 41, and takes us out of our personal Egypt. Both then in the year 2448, 3,333 years ago, and both today, every person going through their own personal Egypt, their own personal struggles, Hashem is there to hold you by your hand and take you out of your struggles. And this should tremendously inspire us a love. Imagine the governor went and helped you out. You feel like he's the best governor. I love him. Why do you love him? Because he didn't have to do that. That was not of his job. Could have called AAA. But this guy went and did it. This evokes the greater the person, the more you realize and the more you're affected by his kindness. So this is more a personal process of meditation to bring out our love. But again, it's a meditation. And to connect us to His name, His essence. We know Hashem took us out to connect to His name. And His name and Hashem is one, unlike by us, our name is a separate thing. What does this mean? But last line on 150. Hashem took us out of the deepest place of impurity. The Jews in Egypt, it says we became like the Egyptians, idol worship. We didn't do immoral things, but in many ways we got sunk into a level that we basically, it says one more drop down and we were unsalvageable. And this dirty, messy, imagine, you see people who unfortunately live on the streets and their nails haven't been cut, they haven't bathed, and their clothes is dirty. To go and pick up this person and wash them and bathe them and clean them and bring them back, this is a tremendous thing, especially, and 10 times more so if the person doing it is the king, is the president, is God. What's the result? So Hashem took us out, and He raised us up. And it says a phenomenal thing, that when did we finally appreciate it? Only after He raised us up. In other words, at the time when we were down, our coarseness did not allow us to appreciate the kindness. A person who doesn't value and appreciate who the king is, there's a story I'm trying to remember that was in my head when I was preparing the class, I can't remember it now, about a king. I know we have it the other way by Haman. By Haman, we say the other way around, just for the record. By Haman, it says a whole different thing, that when he went to hurt the Jews, Hashem said, first I'm going to raise him up. And when I raise him up, he'll become powerful. When he was a young shmendik, he doesn't care if he dies. His life meant nothing to him. When it became very big, I'm a big macher. Now I appreciate. Now Hashem will punish you. Then the punishment's sometimes worse. But in the reverse, what we're saying here is that a person who is low and crass and demoralized doesn't value a special refined character or person. That means a Jew who is impure doesn't value the holiness and the greatness of Hashem. There's a story told of one of the great Rebbes of Poland, that there was a Jew who did a particular sin. And he came to the Rebbe and he said, what can I do to correct my sin? And this guy was a little bit crass, a little bit coarse. He said, what we should do is don't correct the sin, just let's study together. And he starts learning with him about the greatness of Hashem and the damage done by sins. And after a couple of classes, the guy was shaking and sobbing uncontrollably, realizing that here he went and did this. How what a travesty it was. Before he never thought about what it does to Hashem or what Hashem is. And he realized the travesty of a small sin. And now the Rebbe said, okay, now go fast for one day and you'll be okay. Meaning until you realize what you did, you don't, it's like you offend somebody, and sometimes you do something to somebody. Somebody scratched my car yesterday. And I don't really care, it's an old car. But I'm thinking, if you scratch someone else's car, you know how much it bothers a person who has a nice car? Some people wash the car every day. The more you value the other person's position, the more you realize how a small little scratch bothers them. You say, it's nothing. In my car, it's nothing. Make another scratch. I won't even notice it. But if it's a car that matters, so when the person realizes who Hashem is, what happens is not only Hashem took you out and he lifted you up, the more you lift it up and the more you're raised up, the more you value Hashem's love to you. And the more you look back at Egypt and say, wow, that was Hashem who did it. That's incredible. Because suddenly we appreciate and value that it wasn't just an angel that came and took us out. Hashem himself did it, which is an incredible act of love. And what's the result of that? The result of that is the beautiful mirror effect. Kemayim upon him. If someone looks into the mirror, there's no effort required to have the mirror reflect back your face. It's not like you got to go, okay, I'm going to focus, and then the mirror is going to give you back the exact same image. It's automatic. There's no effort required. That's what mirrors do. Hashem created our hearts the same way. If you love somebody truly, that person will love you back. Famous experiment you could try. I don't think I ever tried it properly, so I can't tell you from experience. But if you have someone that you have every issue with in life and you have a problem with, as they say, it says in the Chassidus that if you would go and remove from your heart all your issues and just allow yourself to love the person completely, you will see the love will be reciprocated. You see it in small cases when you're done with a thing and things, but in the deeper sense, it's an exercise to try. If anybody wants to try it, let me know how it goes. It'll be good. But the bottom line is that's how it works. So if Hashem extends to us this incredible love, and how much more so when the person becomes aware of it, not just I'm doing it behind the scenes. I'm aware of the love. This awakens within me a tremendous awareness of Hashem's love, and automatically it trends love to Hashem in return. So now we're going to see that by this lower level of love, not the tzaddik, but the average person, the regular person, the hard worker, you could actually do an effort, do a work that creates love. How do you create love? By thinking. There could be a commandment, love Hashem your God, love your fellow Jew. How? Think and meditate who that person is, who you are, your relationship, what Hashem is, and your relationship. Automatically come to love. It's no different than discovering and someone tells you that person you should love. And say, I don't like that person. That person's been paying your mortgage the last 20 years. Oh, I love him. What happened? I became aware. And then you start thinking about it. Wow, I never was nice to him all these years and paid my mortgage. Wow. And the more you think about it, the more you think how incredible he is. You can create love by becoming aware of truths and thinking about those truths over and over.
I have a question. I think it's easy to like think about like that in the positive, like when you see Hashem do that in Mitzrayim and whatever. But in a situation where it's not positive, where it's something like a tragedy or like a not good thing, if you know that Hashem is the one in control, you know that He's handpicking you and guiding your life. If you see that things aren't working out positively, then it's like that love is translated into anger and like.
It's a very, very good question. This we discussed in chapters 26, 27 over there. A very good question. I think what you're asking is that when things aren't going good, how do you feel the love? Yeah. Right. And that is, again, I'm not going to go into it length now, but the short of it it's to understand that Hashem has two types of love. There's a love which we could understand, and that's the one we enjoy. And then there's a love that seems to us like it's not love because it's out of our range, no different, and not that it's the same thing, but no different when a parent has a child who someone says he's going to give the kid a bicycle or give the kid a beautiful bicycle. And the guy says, you know what I'm going to do? Take the bicycle away. I'm giving him $5 million a stock bond. And the kid's crying, you took away my bicycle. He has no idea what you just did. You set him up for life. He can buy a house. He can pay for his family for 20 years. Meaning a guy who does that to the kid thinks this was, I thought you were a nice guy. You're just not aware of it. Meaning the problem with those type of things in life, they're unpleasant. They hurt. They're painful. They're not good. They're not good. They're unpleasant. They're painful. And they're not wanted at the time. But we don't realize because of our human limitations that it's really good for us. And you never can tell to somebody. You can't say a guy falls down the step and breaks his leg. God likes you. We spoke then, one of the lines we said then, if you remember chapter 26 was, it says, those who Hashem loves, Hashem loves, Hashem criticizes when he punishes. So the Baal Shem Tov once told someone in heaven, they read it differently. It's you love somebody, Hashem criticize God. Meaning, when something happens to somebody else, don't go, so I guess Hashem likes you to punish you. No, ask Hashem, how do you do this to him? In other words, when it happens to yourself, you could bring all these insights and say it's another type of love. Of course, I appreciate it. Thank you, Hashem, for this painful incident. I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but it's much harder. Much harder. Love that's easy to, and that's the challenge of a life of a person that goes through not the regular goodness, which is a phenomenal idea, by the way. The Rebbe spoke about this a lot, that the level of hidden good is much higher than regular revealed good. Nevertheless, the Rebbe always said, everyone should have toiv, hanidiv, hanigli, revealed good. You might think, why? The hidden good's better. When 2x4 falls off the circle and lands on your head, that's excellent. That's a much higher love. You know what? I'd rather regular love. I'd rather the potato chips than that fancy sushi, because I could appreciate the flavor without someone giving me a class on it. So it is not simple when it's not easy to see, but that's why we're focusing now on going out of Mitzrayim, helping us with our challenges. But you're 100% correct that when it comes to painful things, again, I try to use the word painful and hurtful, not sad or bad, because the truth is things that we see as painful and difficult are only pain and difficult because we see it this way. But like that child who gets the $5 million stock bond, whatever the thing is, instead of the bicycle.
Sometimes we get tough love.
That's another thing. The need sometimes to, well, it's giving a shot to a kid who needs to get a shot for polio, God forbid, or you take a kid who yells at, who runs into the street, and you give him a spank. I thought you love your kid. I do. That's why I'm not making sure he never runs in the street again. But that's another whole discussion. Here we're focusing on how love. We start off with a question: how could love be something you do? Love is something either I love or I don't love. You can't tell me love your green beans. I'll eat the green beans. I can't love them. No, you could love them. You know why? Once you find that every green bean makes you immune to every disease in the world. Oh, I love them suddenly. Meaning the difference is the awareness and the thinking about what this is. You could really come to love anything and everything just with the right meditation. And the same thing, unfortunately, you can come to resent and be angry at anybody or anything by just thinking about certain things. Our minds do control our emotions tremendously. But just I want to try and finish this chapter today. Okay, it's we're going to move a drop quicker, but I do want to finish this today if possible. If not, we'll finish it next week. Okay. So in the fourth line, the first narrow column, and we should meditate on this in depth and with a deep understanding to the point that it affects our heart and causes us to love Hashem in a very strong and cleaving love. And if you remember, the word ahava comes from the word ava, which means I yearn for, I want. The word ahava actually means to yearn for something. Proper love, when someone has love, what does it mean I love that person? I want it next to me. I want it right here. And the further someone is, the stronger the love. The concept of absence make a heart grow fonder is because love is, the motivation of love is to bring something closer. The further it is, the stronger is the desire. No difference than if you have an empty fridge. It says why someone who has a full fridge is not as hungry. Because the need, the more distance, if you have a sandwich in front of you, I mean, I want to eat it. Someone tells you there's no food today, it's a fast day. 1 hour into the day, I'm already hungry. What happened yesterday? You didn't eat until 4 o'clock. Today, I know it's not knowing makes a desire, not having access to something makes the desire stronger. And this is what Moshe Rabbeinu, all of Hashem, Kol Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to plant this love in the hearts of every single Jew. The pasuk Hein Lashem Lekech Hashemayim Gamer, Akbar Beisecha, Cheshek Gamer, Malta Gamer. Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Jewish people, you know who you were? You were a people that weren't so great, only because of your parents that Hashem have an interest in you. Because of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you guys weren't so great. And Hashem reached out to you. And all these things, look, you came down with 70 people. You're coming out of Egypt, 2.5 million people. Look at Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to get the Jews to love Hashem by evoking within them a reminder and a thought process. Think about how much Hashem loves you. You didn't deserve it. You were messed up. You were decrepit. You were in Egypt. And Hashem went and took you himself out of Egypt. Where is that reciprocating love? Wake up that love. So And that's why now we can go back to our original question that we had here. We said, that's how Moshe Rabbeinu says, I command you to do. How do you do love? Not do acts of love. Acts of love is to bring someone to lunch and to help someone clear the dishes. These are acts of love, acts of kindness. No, actual do love. How do you do love? Meditate, think, realize, understand, comprehend, feel. Get into your head deeply, a deep feeling for something. In this case, Hashem, who took such good care of you, and you'll come to love Hashem tremendously. This is a love that is created in the heart, through understanding well. This is not just chachma, this is bina, understanding, developing the thought. V'hadas, most important, the das. Remember, we spoke when we introduced in the chapters 2 and 3, what's chachma, bina, and das. We said das is that which is the connection. We gave the metaphor, the Rebbe said it for bringing many times, so we can repeat it again, that if the farmer who lived in a little village who couldn't read English, and he gets a letter that he can't read, he's illiterate, and it says that unfortunately, sorry to inform you, your father passed away, and he goes to the local teacher to read the letter to him, and hears the news, he faints. The Rebbe says, what happened here? The intelligent guy, the reader, the literate person, reads it calmly, and the other guy, he faints. He says the obvious answer is because his father, he felt a connection to it. You read a court case decision, Hey Tavis is coming up tonight. I remember we were so busy with Hey Tavis in 1987 as kids. I was a 15-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid. We heard the news, immediately the dancing, the celebration. Why? If you care for something and it's part of you, people say, what was the big deal? Was it this? We cared because we were following it and told how important it is to the Rebbe. When you care about something, it means something to you. When you have das, when something is connected to you, it's personal. The person reading the court case is going on in the news. The result, and the think about this crazy court case that went on Kyle Rittenhouse. The excitement that happened is him and his mom. I'm not talking about everybody else with political parts, both sides. Imagine the excitement to him personally compared to everyone else. This is a life-changing result. Why? Because what is said here affects me. You have to not just have bina, understanding. Anyone can understand how great God is. Anyone can understand how great it is that God took the Jews out of Egypt. When you realize He took us out of Egypt, now it's not just great, but it means something to me emotionally and my feelings. This awakens up Ava, and this is what we said already. I'm going to fill the commandment that God says, and these words that I command you today should be on your heart. Like it says in Sifri, of this pasuk come to actual love of Hashem. So this second love, so the first love, that's a gift from God that you can't say the expression of do, because it's a gift. That tzaddik who has that natural love, that overwhelming love, that tremendous love, that nothing else exists in the world, that tzaddik does not have to do anything to get it. Maybe as a younger guy, he worked on himself to become a tzaddik, because we know, even though only certain souls can become a tzaddik, certain select souls, not all of them are born that level. Some of them take tremendous work, tremendous effort. But when the tzaddik goes and develops himself and comes to that point, all the love that comes afterwards is natural. It's a natural love. Like I said before, the metaphor of the day of your wedding, I have no interest in going out for fries today, going out for coffee, even though I usually love to do it. But today, it's my wedding. The tzaddik feels that 24/7. I have no interest in material pursuits. You're getting me excited because of a nice couch, because of a good sandwich, because of good coffee. I have no interest in it because his life is in a different zone. That's not us. We like good coffee, at least I do. Good sandwich, certainly. So this is what he says. On this second love, you can have the mitzvah. Hashem commands you, go and love Hashem, because you could create this love. How? Lasum liboy, to put your heart, v'daite, and you're connecting yourself to, with things that create love and awaken the love. But the first type of love, she shall have a next column. That's something that goes up on its own. You can't use the expression at all of a mitzvah. When it comes to the first love, now it's interesting. So it comes out that the tzaddik, you really can't say to him, this mitzvah, love Hashem your God, because that's a reward, that's a matana, that's a gift. Hashem gave you a gift that you have this love. So by the time this chapter is over, this introduction is over, we'll answer the question, so how does he fulfill the mitzvah? Because you'll see there is one way he has to fulfill the mitzvah. I'm just debating, do people have time, another 10 minutes to finish? Okay, we'll continue here. Not only it's not a mitzvah, it is actually a reward for the righteous. The fact that the tzaddik feel this, it's a reward. What is the reward? See, in Eilam Haba, in the world to come, everyone's going to feel this love. Everyone, you're going to be, all the covers are taken off. You're going to find out all your attractions, the material pursuits were meaningless, especially in comparison to what we have now. And everyone's going to feel this amazing, open, phenomenal love to Hashem. Tzaddikim as a gift, because you guys are so amazing, I'm giving you a gift. Even when you're alive, you'll experience Eilam Haba. You'll experience the world to come in its full measure or in its partial measure already in your lifetime. Like it says, I give you the gift of your kahuna. And the Rebbe explains, why does it say kahunaschem? What's that? To say it's a gift of love. Why does it say kahunaschem, like a kohen? We know we learned earlier in the Tanya that the kohen and Levi, one is mamayl lamata. One, we said the kohen is like water that comes from above down, and the Levi is like fire that goes below up. We want to give an indication here that there was no work on the side of the recipient. The kohen is the one who goes from above and gives downward. Hashem's gift to us was not a earned. You see, you can have a gift like a tip in a restaurant, where I could give someone, not that I will do this, but I can give $1,000 tip to a waiter or waitress. Why? Because the person was an excellent waiter. I'm very rich. Did they earn $1,000? No. Why did I give it to them? Because I decided to. But there was something they did. There was some effort on their part that earned it. That's a partial effort. A true gift is you didn't do anything for me. You didn't bring me a meal. I just gave it to you completely. That's what the tzaddikim have. Because I love you and you're a tzaddik, nothing you have to do to earn this. You're just getting this gift. That is the level of this gift, that it's completely not in their hands, completely not in their control. Like it will be explained in its place. Now we're going to answer the original question we had. The original question we had, why did we say by chinuch? Gam ki yaskin. You say educate a child according to his level. Even when he gets older, he won't go past it. He won't go away from it. Why is that a good thing? Because there's one thing about a tzaddik you have to know, and this is true with every single person, but a tzaddik experiences this too in a very profound way. It says 7 times a tzaddik will fall and he'll get up. Ki sheva yipol tzaddik will come. 7 times he can fall and he'll get up. What does that mean? It means, like, simply people think it means that tzaddik can fall down, tzaddik can make a sin. What we're going to see in a moment is it's going to be similar to the idea of building a home. If someone has a beautiful home, they decide, you know what? I want to redo this home with Italian wallpaper and Persian rugs and cherry wood from Italy, whatever. I'm going to Brazilian, whatever. I want to do it. What do you have to do? Tear everything out. In the process of growth, there always is a space in the middle that, compared to the previous stage, is like falling down. Because until now, this room was gorgeous. Now they redo it. I got to tear everything out and put a new. Kisheva, that tzaddik is constantly in a state of falling and growing. What does that mean? His growth is in such a way that as he grows, there's constant between each level almost like a revamping, and that during that time there's a gap, there's a space. Like it says, the levels of Gan Eden, there's a river of fire between them. Or the best famous example would be, the most famous example, Rabbi Zera, when he traveled, they're writing the Talmud Bavli in Iraq, Bavel, and the Talmud Yerushalmi, which took much less time. They did it in Israel. When he traveled from Bavel to Israel, it says one place it says he fasted 40 fasts, one place it says he fasted 100 fasts, but he fasted to forget everything he knew. How does that make sense? Why did you forget? Like when you go to 8th grade, you don't go, okay, now I'm going to high school. Okay, I want to forget everything I learned in elementary school. No, make sure you remember subtraction, addition, multiplication, and use that as a step. Why does he want to forget? Because we're teaching you a whole nother level. Sometimes you join certain groups or certain things that say, forget everything you knew until now. We're going to teach you a whole new way to do computers. Forget everything you knew about the old computers. Old news coming in. It's a level where suddenly it's like a kid that's in 8th grade who feels like top of the school. We're the graduating, the seniors, and next year you're the freshman in high school. We're nobodies. Or you go from the 12th grade seniors to high school, next year the freshman in college. So are you up or down? Well, I went up a level, but I'm nowhere now. So this idea of tzaddik, as they grow, the process requires you to be a beginner in the new level. Especially we're talking about a person that not only he goes, but he goes with quantum leaps. He goes in tremendous advances. He has to go from level to level, not to stay on the same level his entire life. When one level to the next before you reach the next level. Higher. This process that the tzaddik experiences when he's going from level 20 to 21, from 100 to 101, there is what's called a nefila. It doesn't mean, God forbid, a sin. Tzaddikim don't sin. It means a major down in their experience. They had to tear out the walls, and now I'm now a freshman in college. It's my whole role has changed, almost like I fell down. Ach yipol lo yutal ksiv. It says yipol. It doesn't say lo yutal means he wouldn't lie there. He will fall, but he won't remain there. He'll be able to get up. It's not called falling. It's just relatively speaking, compared to your previous level. Now I'm called falling because, like I said, to gut this room and put in new bookcases requires a gap. But Shaar, but compared to everybody else, he's still a tzaddik. Meaning, it's not like he went down. Everybody else goes, "Wow, he used to be such a tzaddik." Now look at him. For everyone else, he's still a super tzaddik. In his own world, in his own service, there's a down. There's a non-growth period that takes place as he's adjusting to the new level. He's still higher than anyone else in their service. He still has something remaining from his previous existence. So how does he survive? So what keeps him going during this time? What keeps him going during this time is one thing, that old-fashioned love that everyone else has to do. That love that we say beginners have, where you have to do it on your own. It's self-made. I have to be his. That's what the tzaddik has to do between levels. So as the tzaddik goes from level to level, that means not only, the point Al is really making here in this introduction, is not only does everybody need to have an asiyah, an effort to grow and understand how to love God and what God is, but even the tzaddik, because even the tzaddik, as he adjusts from level to level, in that gap, he has to be able to have his boinenus. Usually it's a gift, but the gift is off right now. We're remodeling. We're tearing out the bookcases. So during that process, he has to have his own self-made effort. At that point, he has to have his boinenus. He has to have deep thinking that allows him to sort of carry him from the old level into the new level till he starts growing at a new level. And said, by the way, going back to the metaphor of the house, it's like you go out of a house, but leave the foundation. The foundation always remains the foundation. You're not tearing down the house. You're gutting it and putting in a new inside, but the foundation, that original ability to have a stability, has to always be there. That which the chinuch that he got, but he was trained on in his youth, before he reached this super tzaddik level, and that's what he has to rely on during this time. That's why he says even as he grows, doesn't say when he gets old, even as he grows, and he grows from level to level, he has to maintain that space between levels by his own meditation. This is the entire insight into the subject. The next two lines will tell us where we're going. So how does a person come to have a love and a fear of Hashem properly, to be able to be a regular person loving Hashem, etc.? The Yesod on its foundation, it is a pure, truthful faith. You need to have a true faith in God, an understanding of God, and a knowledge of God in order to come to this love. So whether you're a love type of 2-person or a love type of 1-person, but sometimes you got to rely on love 1, love 2, both of these groups need to have an understanding of what's God. And that's introduction to what he's going to say in the first chapter. So what is God? All of this was come to introduce. So what is God? What is unity of God? What are we supposed to believe? Meaning, we're told to have faith, like you said. How do I know if it's hurtful, it's good love, it's easy love? First, we have to understand what is God. What does it mean to have unity, have a faith in unity of God? And they'll know what to think about. So really, the Alter Rebbe is telling us why these chapters are so important. Now, the next 12 chapters will be a quite advanced discussion of what does it mean to have faith in Hashem? What does it mean, the unity of Hashem? And what does it mean nothing else exists besides Hashem? Okay, we'll stop here and continue, God willing, next week. A good Yantif, tonight's Hey Tavis, special day. If you're forgetting some of the details, go online, just type in Hey Tavis, and you'll have all the insights into why this day is so important. Question by Tamar.
So you said Nafshi Etvaich?
Ivi Sicha. Ivi Sicha is the word, yeah.
Or is this Aramaic?
I don't think so.
Because to me it looks like Otcha.
No. Ivi Sicha is the word. I'll tell you where the pasuk is. You look up the pasuk.
I have the pasuk here.
Where is the pasuk? You look up the quote, and I look it up on my Safra, whatever it's called. But this is, I wanted to finish today if possible, because that way we can start next week fresh, the new chapter. Where's the pasuk, Tamar?
I don't Well, it says here, "Al pi nafshi v'tichak v'gomaro."
And what's the footnote say in the bottom?
Don't see that.
Okay, I'll look it up. I'll look it up soon. Anyway, everyone have a great day. If anybody wants, again, as I do when I could, tonight I did find a good ticket, $97 round trip. I'm going into New York to go to the Oil for Hayichud. I'm back tomorrow. Again, if anybody wants to text me any names to mention, I plan to go in the morning. Tonight I'm just going to go study there. Tomorrow morning I'll go in probably 11, 12 o'clock after I daven, and send the name, whatever you'd like, and I'll put a note in for you at the Rebbe's resting place. The Rebbe writes that Hayichud is a day of tremendous Eis Ratzon. It's a goodwill above to ask for blessings. So good time to go pray.
Thank you, Rabbi Moshe.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Moshe.
You're very, very welcome. Have a good day and good Yontif.
Thank you, Moshe.